Hero Society looks clean from the top, but some people live where the rules don't always help. Today we're diving into My Hero Academia Vigilantes, the spin-off series that exists in a weird space between important lore expansion and optional side content. It's a prequel that zooms in on the people Hero Society usually ignores, and while the idea has a lot of potential, the final result is mixed. On paper, Vigilantes sounds great. Instead of elite students trained to become top heroes, we follow ordinary people with small quirks trying to help their neighborhoods out however they can. This immediately gives the story a more grounded feel than the main series. The problems are smaller, the victories are quieter, and the world feels more lived in. It's less about saving the country and more about getting through the day without something going wrong. Koichi, the main character, represents this perfectly. His quirk, Slide and Glide, is awkward and limited, and for a long time, he can barely use it in a fight. He isn't special, he isn't chosen, and he definitely isn't destined to be the greatest hero. Instead, his growth is slow and practical. He learns how to move better, think faster, and actually commit to helping people instead of just drifting along. That kind of progression feels refreshingly human. The series also does a good job expanding the world around pro-heroes. We see how pro-hero law affects normal citizens, how crime exists below the radar of flashy villains, and how people slip through the cracks of the system. The presence of vigilantes raises interesting moral questions about whether doing the right thing matters more than doing things the legal way. Knuckleduster embodies this idea better than anyone. He's quirkless, violent, and uncompromising, and yet he's often the most effective person in the room. He challenges the clean, marketable image of heroism that the main series relies on. There are also plenty of fun connections to the main story. Seeing Aizawa earlier in his career adds meaningful context to his character, and little moments like these feel like genuine rewards for longtime fans rather than cheap fan service. When Vigilantes leans into this kind of character exploration, it really works. That said, the series has a hard time maintaining momentum. The pacing, especially early on, is slow to the point of being dull. Many chapters revolve around minor incidents that don't feel especially important, and it can take a while before the story really feels like it's going somewhere. Compared to the main series, where arcs escalate quickly, Vigilantes often feels like it's spinning its wheels. The stakes are another issue. Even when the bigger antagonists like Six are introduced, the tension doesn't always land. The ideas behind these villains are interesting, but the execution can feel uneven. Some confrontations drag on longer than they should, while others resolve without much impact. It's not that the threats are bad, it's that they rarely feel urgent. Another weakness is how forgettable much of the cast ends up being. Koichi is likable, but not especially iconic. Popstep's arc touches on identity and self-worth, but it never quite pushes far enough to leave a lasting impression. When you compare them to the main series' most memorable characters, it's not hard to feel like Vigilantes is missing that spark that makes people want to revisit it years later. The series also struggles with its own identity. It wants to be a grounded, street-level story, but it's still tied to the expectations of My Hero Academia. Sometimes those connections strengthen the narrative, but other times they just remind you that this is a side story operating in the shadow of something bigger. It never fully escapes that feeling. By the time Vigilantes ends, it feels complete, but not especially impactful. It answers its questions, wraps up its arcs, and leaves the world more fleshed out than before, but it doesn't linger. There aren't many moments that stick in your head, and there's little reason to revisit it unless you're already deeply invested in the franchise. And that's really the best way to sum it up. My Hero Academia Vigilantes is a perfectly fine standalone experience. It has good ideas, solid characters, and some genuinely strong world building, but it's held back by slow pacing, muted stakes, and a general lack of memorability. If you're already a fan of My Hero Academia and want more time in that world, it's worth checking out. If you're not, it's unlikely to move you much at all. In the end, Vigilantes isn't bad, and it isn't great. It's just okay. A decent side story that does its job, then quietly steps out of the way. But that's all for now. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'll see you guys next time.